If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hello, Christian Patriots, and welcome to Church and State, where we strive to plug you into the pew and plug you into politics. I'm your host, Caleb Collier. With me, as always, Pastor Gabe Blomgren.
Good morning, brother. It is a pleasure, and it is an honor today. We have a very special guest, and we are in a political climate and spiritual climate that warrants this level of conversation today, so it's an honor.
Absolutely. So our special guest today, and we're going to get right to him, is Mr. Dinesh D'Souza. Most people are going to be very familiar with your work. The main reason we're bringing you on is to discuss your new film, Trump Card. So, Mr. D'Souza, thank you so much for joining us on Church and State.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Excellent. Thank you. So, real quick, just to add a little bit of humor to the interview, I actually got in trouble one night for a date night. My wife sent me to Redbox when we were still doing those things, and she said, "Go bring home a good movie for us to watch." And I brought back Hillary's America. So, needless to say, date night didn't go very well for me, but I did enjoy the film. Yeah.
Well, it's Hillary's America was a little bit of a horror movie, and I have to say that all my movies have a horror component. But I think this one, while it does take you into the depths of socialism, that's the theme of Trump Card, I think it ends on a hopeful, optimistic, inspirational, perhaps even a moving note. So I'm very proud of this movie. I think it's my best one.
I agree. I've seen most of your films, and we watched it last night together, Gabe and I, and I agree with your assessment of your film. It did end on a high note, and I think most of us that really value America, I think we are seeing good things in our future here. I don't think that Biden is going to win. In fact, we believe that Trump's probably going to win by a landslide.
I agree. That's what my instinct says. I mean, obviously, I'm given a little bit of pause by the polls. We never want to confuse what we want to be the case with what is going to be the case. But nevertheless, Biden is a ridiculous candidate. I was wondering the other day, what sausage machine produced this preposterous individual? And then I realized, interestingly, it wasn't a sausage machine. The Democrats picked him. They literally pushed the other candidates out. They wanted Biden. Well, now they got him.
Yeah, and everything that entails, all of his gaffes and everything. So what led you to want to make this latest film?
Most of my films revolve around kind of a single big question. Now, the big question here is this. How did socialism, the most discredited idea since slavery, an idea tried in 25 countries around the world, including big countries, Russia, China, India, collapsed everywhere. How does this idea make an unexpected comeback in the 21st century? How does it come to the mainstream of American politics for the first time in our history? So I have a little bit of background on this. I grew up in India. India was a socialist country. And the left says today, we don't want authoritarian socialism. We want democratic socialism. Well, India had democratic socialism, but for me, it was the socialism of misery because our family had a ration card. You could buy only so much rice, so much sugar, so much cooking oil, limits, in other words. We were on a 7-year waiting list to get a phone. Why? Because the government ran the phone company and they didn't know what they were doing. So to me, socialism was scarcity. And India at that time was the begging bowl of the world. And India only became more prosperous when it began to move away from socialism. So that was my childhood experience. And so I bring that kind of background or perspective to bear on the emergence now of socialism in the 21st century in the United States.
You bring up socialism, and the question that I want to ask is, why are Americans so fooled by this idea that we can all be equal, but only through big government overreach? And you point out that every single time that it has been tried, it has been unsuccessful and has really led to poverty and death. I'm going to follow that up with of course, the Scandinavian countries, but let's address that first.
Well, the left would claim that they are trying new forms of socialism. They would say, number one, that their socialism is democratic, not authoritarian. Number two, that they're following the model of Scandinavia and not Cuba or even Venezuela. That number three, that while socialism in its classic form focused on class divisions or class injustice, they're focusing on racial injustice and gender injustice and transgender injustice and the injustice to illegal immigrants. So bottom line is, I call this identity socialism. It's a mix, a marriage between classic socialism and identity politics. And so the movie doesn't really try to answer socialism by just saying, hey guys, been there, done that. It's never worked, so it will not work in the future. Because the left would say, well, it is working. It's working right now in Oslo. It's working right now in Copenhagen. Those places aren't horrible places to live, are they? So we take all this seriously and examine this new socialism, decisively refute it, and then lay out how it can be politically defeated with the help of Trump in the United States now.
Absolutely, and I tire of hearing "let's do it like Denmark." That's kind of the slogan that they're promoting here. And your film beautifully destroys this myth that these Scandinavian countries are the example of socialism that works. You discuss the VAT tax, for example, which really actually targets the poor, but most people aren't aware of that.
Yeah, they don't knock down Columbus statues in Scandinavia,
Right.
but they do in Venezuela. They don't have Antifa in Scandinavia, but they do have a version of it in Venezuela. They're called the colectivos. They're thugs that are licensed by the socialist regime. Look at the Biden family racket. You have these politicians in America on the left. They claim to be, they're for the poor, they're for the people, but they managed to go from $0 to $100 million on a government salary. Biden's not alone. Hillary Clinton did the same thing. Now, she used a foundation. Biden takes along his family members as bag men. And then he goes, I never took a penny from foreign governments. Well, I know that. The money went to Hunter Biden and James Biden and Frank Biden and the son-in-law. Then all of you sat around the dinner table and split the loot. So you didn't directly take it from the foreigners. We know that. But you took it from family members who took it from foreign governments. Now, again, no Scandinavian politician has gone from $0 to becoming a centimillionaire in dollars or euros on a government salary. But again, in Venezuela, Hugo Chavez looted the country. He died a billionaire. His family today is the richest family in Venezuela. So we are following the Venezuelan model despite bogus protestations to the contrary.
Absolutely, Gabe. You wanted to follow this up with basically a religious question.
Yeah, I have a question, Dinesh. As a pastor, and majority of our listeners are Christians as well, and I've heard your mind on socialism. I'm just curious as to why is it young people are so deceived? I see so many young faces swallowing the lie, and what I feel is if these young people are squandering the inheritance like the prodigal son that the generations who so valorously fought for our liberties in World War II and foreign wars abroad. And you didn't address in it young people, how they're deceived by. I want to hear from you. I did see how your daughter, though, being a young person, is such a display of the opposite of what we're seeing in this culture of YouTube and all these media formats. I saw in her a light that I wish I saw more of. It's a light of intelligence. Why is the light so dim in young people right now?
I think we're tempted to look at socialism as sort of one big misunderstanding, idealism gone wrong. There might be a slight element of that, but I want to highlight the other side of it, which is to say that no one is really deceived. The socialists themselves, think of people like AOC, or Bernie Sanders. I mean, first of all, from society's point of view, these are people who are extremely unenterprising. They can't build an iPhone. They can't build the Woolman rink like Trump or put up the Trump Tower. AOC would be a bartender if she wasn't a politician. And so socialism is a road to the top. It's the business of politics. They want a society in which they have the commanding heights of the economy, and they realize that that pays off very well for them. Now, it might seem that this is only true of the elite class at the top. What about the college student who is tempted by socialism? Well, I want to suggest that there's something in it for them too. And I don't just mean free stuff. I think the issue is actually more profound and in some ways involves morality at a more profound level. I'd put it sort of this way. Socialism is a very clever scheme to turn ordinary people into thieves. If I were to say to you, both of you, hey guys, go to your neighbor's house and eat out of his refrigerator and pick the fruit off his trees and take the art off his walls and pick up the curios in his house that you like and bring him over to your house. You'd go, I'm not going to do that. I'm not a thief. And if I did that, I would feel horrible. My conscience would revolt, tell me I'm a bad person. So I don't want to do that. Now, imagine if the socialist comes along and says, hey guys, listen, you know all this cool stuff in your neighbor's house? It really belongs to you. Now, you may not know that because he hasn't come and taken it from you, but maybe his great-great-great-great-grandfather stole it from your great-great-great-great-grandfather. So it's been stolen goods passed down through the generations. So here's the good news. You don't have to go and kick in his door and take his stuff. We, the state, will do it for you. Obviously, we'll keep some of it for ourselves, but we'll give the rest of it to you. So you see what's going on here? I would describe it as the annihilation of conscience. What the socialists are really doing is making people feel comfortable with participating in a theft scheme. That's the profound immorality of socialism.
Wow, I love that. That is it's incredible. So basically, it's a way for individuals to violate natural laws while still keeping their hands clean.
Do you feel that young people not only
Exactly.
do you feel that young people not only feel as if they are helping, but I get this impression, especially college students, that this is their inheritance, and they're wearing a cape while doing it. It's as if they are saving the world from what they would call boomers.
This is exactly right. See, if you think of the old mafia movies and so on, it's those guys knew they were bad guys and they had to sort of come to terms with it. And you see in movies like The Godfather, they're wrestling with, how do I get out of this racket and so on. But the beauty of progressivism and socialism is that you can be a bad guy while thinking of yourself as a good guy. It cleanses your conscience. So social justice is the sort of banner. And by marching behind that banner, you can be a horrible person. You can violate all the common norms of decency. You can be a ripoff artist. And you can count on the other ripoff artists to sort of protect you. So Biden, for example, can be a brazen liar in the debate. Who said I'm against fracking? And, you know, I've never taken a penny. And who says that illegal aliens who are caught and released always never show up for trial, you know, and on and on. Who says I call Trump a xenophobe? Now, how can you be a liar with so much chutzpah? Well, the answer is you're counting on the media to be just as brazen liars as you are. You're counting on them to cover up for you. And Biden knows that he can count on these like-minded prevaricators. And that's what allows them to sort of do brazen whoppers with a straight face.
Absolutely. It reminds me of the book Confrontational Politics, where Richardson actually went through and discussed exactly those tactics. And it comes really from Saul Alinsky, and you brought that up in your film as well. I loved how you showcased what happened with Bush, for example, and the KKK.
Yeah, I mean, we use the Alinsky example only because it's kind of a prototype. Alinsky, of course, knows that the Klan is attached to the Democratic Party. It was founded by a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. It was revived in the early 20th century by the progressive Democrat Woodrow Wilson. He knows all that. His point is, how do we take the Klan and its sordid history, and how do we stick it on the other guys? And we do it basically by staging a lie, by getting protesters who are leftists to dress up as Ku Klux Klansmen, and then every time a Republican speaks, jump up and clap and applaud wildly, knowing that the media will play along. Oh yeah, the Ku Klux Klan is on the right. So this is part of the great deception. And you see how American politics here has become a smoke and mirrors game. How much can we fool the ordinary American, who by and large does live in a fog and doesn't pay close attention to politics? So the media has figured this out. The Democrats have figured this out. And so smoke and mirrors is the name of their game.
Yeah, it's literal projection is what they're engaging in here. And it really leads to the importance of alternative media, because for the vast majority of people, when you're looking at mainstream media, and Donald Trump has done a wonderful job of actually calling them out for what they actually are, fake news, but most people are still watching, ABC or CBN or whatever it is, not CBN, CBS, what alternative sources out there? Like, what do you typically go to for your information, for your primary source documents?
Well, I mean, a lot of my primary source documents come from historical research and books. It's not so much media sources per se. Now, obviously, I have an ensemble of media sources that I look at. I do think it's been horribly negligent for our side to have allowed hegemony or domination that they have in academia and the media and Hollywood, the whole entertainment industry, including Broadway and the music industry and the comedians. Now, we have a channel, although largely unused, and it's called The Church. By and large, our churches are inactive. Even the ones that are conservative don't. I mean, they're lucky if you get them to mention the pro-life issue, but they certainly don't overtly connect Christian principles to politics. So I think the pastors have essentially been abdicators of their responsibility to translate spiritual and moral principles into practice.
Well said. I want to share just briefly. Right now, Planned Parenthood, Dinesh, has me and 4 other pastors. We do a monthly worship service at Planned Parenthood. My senior pastor came up with the idea to actually bring church out to what we call Hell's Gate. We believe that it's a violation, an abomination that God never even imagined society would embrace. So we go out there peaceably and we host a worship service, and we have typically anywhere from 300 to we've had 600 people out there in the middle of summer out in the heat, right around closing time. We don't interfere with what they call women's health care, which it's not health care. We go out there and we simply worship the Lord, and it's acoustic style worship. There's no loud electric guitars. It's simply an acoustic guitar and almost like a cajon, like bongo type thing. And it is so peaceful. We have never, ever been violent. We never, ever show banners of aborted babies. But yet I'm being sued by Planned Parenthood, me and 4 other pastors. They're coming after us, and it's going to be a full jury trial next December. Why is it that when pastors do come out, which we are, and we're making a stand, I've now touched the golden cow, which is abortion. This is like the sacred object, and now they're coming at us with all the guns blazing. Why is abortion such a sacred thing to the left and to progressives and to even gay, lesbian? You have a cross-gender man who's never going to have a child, but yet this is their golden cow. How can this be?
First of all, it shows, I think, very clearly that we're dealing with a kind of socialism that Marx would have found unrecognizable. There are many on the socialist left today who care more about abortion than the minimum wage, more about the transgender bathroom than universal basic income. So you can see this isn't just economic socialism. It is socialism grafted onto a cultural Marxism. And a powerful attack on spiritual principles. I think there was a Soviet dissident in the last century, Igor Shafarevich. He goes, the socialists target property, but right after that, they target the family and they target the church. Those are the institutions that they want to bring down. And all socialist regimes do that. In the movie Trump Card, we show how socialism ultimately is about imposing conformity. It's an attack on the Bill of Rights. It wants to ultimately make you into a worm and make you submit to them. Why are they suing the Christian baker in Colorado? Why do they want to make him say something he doesn't want to say? Well, the answer, because that's what it's all about. It's about submission to the state. And it's not even about him. They want to terrify other people around him to say, hey, guys, listen, if you run up against us, this is what's going to happen to you. So we've got to realize we're in this kind of a fight, and it's a fight that requires lawyers and media and exposing the other side. And it requires us to be very, very tough. We've got to learn some of the toughness of the other side. They fight for their principles. I mean, if Roe versus Wade was overturned, you can imagine how berserk they're going to go. They'll show up in every legislature. They'll throw blood in the legislators. They will scream, and they'll bring coat hangers, and they will chain themselves to fences. So that's commitment. You got to admit it. We have to have commitment that rivals, if not exceeds that.
Amen
Well
to that.
said.
Yes.
Well said.
I remember reading about Bella Dodd and her discussions with the Soviets actually infiltrating the churches, and so clearly we see and we know that the left has infiltrated our churches. They promoted this leftist theology into our churches, and that's really why it's so silent. You know, they're more concerned about the social justice aspects of our faith, and they're not actually defending what Christ really said.
Well, let's look at COVID. You brought this up, Dinesh, and I thought it was brilliant. You used the term socialism light. Basically, COVID exposed us and showed us what living in Venezuela was probably like for your wife. Things have been shut down on such a level here in our city. Jay Inslee, the governor of the state of Washington, made it to where you can only have a certain number of people in church, and even people on the worship team needed to wear masks according to the mandate. How am I supposed to sing while wearing a mask? We see this level of compliance that the church is falling right in line. I never honestly thought, Dinesh, that the church would be so subservient, docile, and go along with this. We decided 1 week after Easter, Mother's Day, we're going back into full services. We're going to ask people to space themselves out, but we have seen our church triple in size because people are waking up. Why is it that people are so subservient and docile? Is this the American thing? Because I thought we were tougher like Australians. I thought we would push back.
Well, we're the party of the nice guys. That applies to Republicans, it applies to conservatives, it applies to Christians. Now, it's important to realize that the other side knows this, and it's their secret weapon. Our passivity provokes their aggression. And this is across the board. Of course, COVID is a very good example of something. Of course, it's real, but it's also being exploited politically. So the principle of the other side is, hey, listen, this is great. We can go knock down their monuments, not just the Confederate monuments, but the Jesus monuments and the monuments of the people who built the missions, Frederick Douglass Monument and the Abraham Lincoln Monument. We can go do that. You know why? Because we know they'll never knock down our monuments. And we can pack the court because, you know why? Even if they control all the branches of government, they wouldn't dream of packing the court. And we can use the deep state, the police agencies of government against them. You know why? Because even if they controlled all the branches of government, they wouldn't dream of using the deep state against us. In short, they are suckers, and we can take advantage of their suckerdom in order to bend the rules in our favor. So we're dealing with some pretty ruthless opponents, similar to what Abraham Lincoln dealt with in 1860. He was a moderate man, but he recognized he was in an immoderate situation. And the same is true of us today.
Yeah, their only rule is don't get caught. And even when they do get caught, they then double down. And that's typically what we see here. One of the things that I wanted to address with you, Dinesh, was the Obama sex scandal that you actually showcased in your film, because I think for a lot of people, that's still shocking. And actually, a lot of people aren't even aware of this. So why did you decide to include that in the latest film?
Well, number one, because I'm a little fearless and I like to go where other people won't go.
Yes.
Number two, because it's illustrative. You know, it's one thing to talk about the media's double standards, but you have to show that because people going back to the 80s and 90s, conservatives would even say to me, oh, Dinesh, it's not that the media is all that ideological. They just care about ratings, you know. Well, okay, here's a massive scandal. You've got a gay guy who was a gay prostitute saying that he had a sexual relationship with Obama. And he points to another guy in Jeremiah Wright's church who also had a sexual relationship with Obama. And that guy got shot and killed, and it's an unsolved murder and the mysterious circumstances. And that guy's mother pointed the finger at Obama. So can you imagine if this had been done, let's say, for example, about Trump? Well, we know whenever someone makes an accusation against Trump, however unsubstantiated, it gets massive coverage, 60 minutes, and there you are, and a town is named after you, and this and that. So it's a very good way cinematically to illustrate the sheer brazen dishonesty of the media. So I think the good thing about this film is it's all in there. I mean, the deep state is in there, the Biden family corruption. So even though we start the film a year ago, it looks like it's ripped right out of the headlines. Now, my earlier movies have been in theaters. I do want to say this one is not. It's on DVD, it's on video on demand. So TrumpCardTheMovie.com is where you need to go. It's on Apple iTunes, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on Google, it's on YouTube, Xfinity, Comcast, a whole bunch of platforms. It's very important, though, that you watch this movie before the election and share it.
Absolutely, and I mean, I love how you started it with the 1984
Yes.
theme there with Winston and the electroshock therapy. It draws you in immediately. Gabe and I, we watched it last night, as I said, and we were sorry that it was over when it finished. I mean, we could have stayed there another 2 hours. So hats off to you on that one. It was a fantastic film. I highly recommend to our audience to go and watch this film, especially as you said before the election.
Hey guys, I'm going to need to run, but I wanted to thank you. This is awesome. I'm so glad you enjoyed the movie. I try really hard to make these movies entertaining. And that's what a movie is. People need to enjoy it. They go to movies to be entertained. But once you entertain people, and once you develop a powerful emotional narrative, you can do a lot of messaging. You can appeal to the head and the heart and really show people things happening in this country that they're not seeing through the mainstream media.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. I understand
Thank
you
you
have to
so
leave,
much.
but we really appreciate you joining us on Church and State.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, Gabe, what a wonderful interview.
All right. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to run, but I got something right now, so
Yeah,
I'm
no
going to
worries.
scoot, okay?
Oh,
Thanks very
no
much.
problem at all.
Bless
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Gabe, what a wonderful interview with Dinesh D'Souza there. We can bring up the movie there so we can show everybody what we need to be watching here. Trump Card, as I said, fantastic movie. Did it change anything as far as you were concerned? I mean, I know you're a Trump guy, but did you see anything there that you were unaware of?
What I definitely was reinforced is the hard work ethic of everything that is taking and the work. So it just reinforced everything that I felt in my heart as far as President Donald J. Trump. And I was blown away once again by the brazenness of him to display the sex scandal, which I wasn't aware that it was that evidentiary, that there was that much evidence and then ignored.
You know, I think for Dinesh, I don't want to put words into his mouth, but he'd already gone to prison. I think he was probably like, what more can you do? Donald Trump has got my back. He gave me a pardon, so I'm going to put this movie together, and I don't care if you guys are angry that I've done it. I'm going to do it.
Fearless.
Yeah, he was absolutely fearless. So once again, go to DineshD'Souza.com where you can find this Trump card and watch this movie. Share it with your friends, family, and neighbors. And let's make a difference. And let's make sure that this republic continues for many years beyond now. Church and State is brought to you in part by Covenant Church. Always remember the tree of liberty is most likely a birch. And with that, Church and State is out.
God bless.